Good morning and welcome to Going to Work with Gena. Today I want to talk about emulators. Yesterday we talked about models, we talked about simulation, and when you package the model, the simulation into a piece of hardware or software, you end up with an emulator. And those emulators are the pieces that different companies are working on across the nation for the space vehicle. So they send those emulators to us to actually test out flight and ground equipment. So the reason I keep talking and I'm building up from, models, simulation, emulators, is because we're going to talk about different things, aspects of the flying design car, which had to do with a lot of artificial intelligence, and you need to understand some of the fundamentals. Now, one of the basic things that I wanted to talk about this morning was gaming, because the artist of the flying car, or the designer of the flying car, should I say, was actually a true gamer. What is gaming? A lot of guys, kids these days play with video games. Well, video games are nothing but an electronic interface with a video electronic game with a video interface, and basically you're just trying to manipulate the system to get a desired outcome that you actually want. Well, a lot of those video games have role playing of these fictional characters, and so a lot of people put their thoughts and minds around these fictional characters to try to manipulate the system so that they can get a certain desired outcome. And usually this is the same thing that goes into NASA when we're actually building a vehicle. We're actually looking at, in our testing, we inject fault scenarios so we can understand the contingency and the safety behind everything. So what I'm saying to my young students today is, don't be afraid of gaming. Don't be afraid of learning the fundamentals of knowledge of math and science, because I was talking to my smallest child last night, and she was saying how, Mommy, it was just so unfair how in 6th grade they wanted to teach us 7th and 8th grade math, and that was just too hard. And that's the thing that I constantly hear from my girls. It's like, sometimes things are too hard, but it's not going to be hard if you learn how to deal with the fundamentals. What I try to tell my students is, when you realize that something is complex or is getting a little bit too hard for you, you need to ask for assistance. There's nothing wrong with asking for assistance. What you do not want to do is, you do not want to learn to do something incorrectly. Because math and science builds on a thought process of understanding that what you learned before. It just builds on each other. Math and science, that's all it does. And so if you've learned something incorrectly, then that means you have incorrect thoughts, which are going to be built on you trying to go to the next level, and you won't get there. So the best thing to do is to ask questions when you get to a certain point that things have become complex for you. So in these gaming systems, I want you guys to go ahead, get involved in those video games, because see, remember, people are doing role playing in those games because those games actually teach you to be competitive, because see, you're trying to get to the desired outcome that that company has chosen for that particular fictional character. Okay, so today's lesson is, don't be afraid when something is hard. If it's hard, that means it's worth working for. Okay, not everything will always be hard in life, but when something is hard, I want you to go ahead and believe that you can achieve it. Okay, but you need to break it down into smaller pieces so you can achieve one goal at a time, so when you're learning that you can get to the next level. Thank you guys for going to work with Gena. Have a good day.